Well, double butter is better, of course. Double butter, it's like peanut butter and regular butter on your English muffin. It's better. The peanut butter sort of gives the regular butter a little bit more spine, and the regular butter loops up the pasty peanut butter. And collaboration is, in fact, a lot like that. That you each bring something unique to every part of the operation.
We're both, and it just depends on what day. David speaks on behalf of the company by and large, and that's a good thing because that might be more of the regular butter. And David, yeah, he's more, he comes from a wood background and I'm a steel background, but we trade places day to day depending on what's coming through the door. And in the marketing world, I think we're both the same. We kind of are excited about the same things in guerrilla style, getting the name out there.
Yeah, we had independent companies before we met. We each had our own sort of furniture shops. And they were both straighter. They were both more sort of traditional companies than the company is together. We took traditional approaches to marketing. We took traditional approaches to really the work. I think maybe what we ended up building, not necessarily what we wanted to build, but what we ended up building was more conservative. And I think that we've both allowed each other to be a little bit more adventurous, to take more risks, because you have somebody who gets excited about the crazier ideas, and there's a lot of laughing, a lot of give and take. We tend to escalate the crazy ideas into maybe crazier ideas.
I think we both could continue to create new items forever, and I think we both almost would be happy to continue to do that. It's exciting to prototype something and see it come to life and watch how it morphs into a product that we would want. As a designer, it's kind of hard to finally just accept something for what it is and put it out there and hope that people are fine with that iteration of it. At this point, we have 12 items that we are more or less satisfied with, that I think we've been trying to really push. There's about 30 others that sort of are mingling, and they're all in the same language, and they are going to continue to probably be in that language, and that's the DoubleButter language. But at this point, yeah, we're satisfied enough with 12 items to sort of put them out there in the world and spend the time to see whether these items work, versus continuing to sort of develop and develop and develop.
We sort of have two basic material palettes. There are those that are sort of dominated by solid American black walnut, and then there are those that are sort of dominated by steel, although there are elements of both in sort of almost all the pieces. So these, the top piece has no legs on it in its current storage state, but again, there could be powder-coated bent steel legs. Of course, those are powder-coated bent aluminum poles on those drawers. The top piece is meant to be used as an entertainment credenza. The bottom piece meant to be used as a 4-drawer dresser. There's another version of this dresser that's a tall, narrow 4-drawer as well. These pieces are all kept in inventory and all shipped within 10 days. This stuff all starts as just rough hewn, sort of raw from the mill, solid American black walnut. It's planed, it's joined, the drawers are all Baltic birch plywood. Our hands have been all over that piece, and the finish is just a natural blend of linseed oil and pine resin varnish. It continues to sort of patinate over the years, so you develop sort of a warmer, redder tone. The oil gets applied ideally annually, but it's meant to be sort of an heirloom piece that's also a production piece. All of the woodworking is actually done by us in the shop. We don't farm any of that stuff out yet. And as we grow, we're going to need to find the shop in town that can handle that for us. But at this point, we do all the wood here. The aluminum pieces are formed at a local, actually by a local guy who just happens to have a brake to bend those up. The steel legs are all bent by us out in our shop, just on a little hand bender. We just yank this lever essentially and form those pieces. All the welding is done by us here. And there's one other material that we use, which is actually shown on that strange piece there, that penguin, which is forming plywood. It's actually used to form up concrete walls. Unconventional as a furniture material, but that skin is actually a phenolic resin, which is like rich light countertops. It's an inert sort of formaldehyde concoction, but it's extremely water resistant and hard wearing. It's an industrial material. We thought it made perfect sense to use it as a furniture material. It's got sort of a classic ply edge. It looks very mid-century modern, but that yellow skin is something that we haven't seen in any other furniture application.
As it stands, I think we're
the only ones who are using that, but there's probably somebody out there. These lounge chairs, we used to bend them all by hand on that same bender. But again, to get some economies of scale and to get a bit more efficiency, we now use the same forming shop. Actually, it's just a steel supply shop that happens to have a brake to bend these profiles. We do all the welding. And then we've got sort of a partner company right next door. They make padded instrument bags, and they also sew up the upholstery slats, which are just held on by Velcro. The idea being that these can be interchangeable, and we'd like to start collaborating with local artists to do limited edition runs of custom upholstery, in their style, just a way to, again, differentiate the pieces and start getting people thinking of sets of upholstery as sort of collectibles, right? And you can swap the upholstery out for relatively low cost, and you get essentially a new chair.
We provide a service that I don't think we necessarily even wanted to initially, but just the nature of the company alone, it happens. People are excited to come over here and look at. It can be sort of unnerving, I think, for some to see that it comes out of this tiny room and we're just two guys, and it doesn't look all that bona fide, but in the end, I think it's rewarding to know that, we're creating something from start to finish in Denver.
People haven't necessarily made the sort of romantic link to this sort of connection with craft and furniture on a sort of not necessarily mass market scale, but a substantial enough market scale to support companies like DoubleButter in Denver and a DoubleButter in basically every city in the country. The price consciousness of furniture consumers over all other considerations, the disposability of furniture. I mean, the idea, and maybe this comes from our McMansion culture, you have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet to fill with junk, right? And the quality of your home construction is poor. You got to fill space, and you fill space quickly by going to big box stores with mass-produced, low-quality stuff. Whereas, I mean, what we're trying to do, the space that we're in now, this is what, how many hundred square feet in this?
600.
It's more than enough for two people. More than enough for two people. What we want to push people toward, and the tide has turned a bit, but we feel like we're really swimming against the tide here, is smaller lives, a smaller footprint, higher quality. It's easy to go to the big box furniture stores and get the chair that everybody's got. It's easier still to go to DWR and buy the bona fide chairs. I mean, like we said, the Eameses nailed it, right? Beautiful stuff. You're not going to go wrong buying that stuff. But there's something more than just sort of curatorial consuming, right? I mean, there's something to supporting actively the ongoing creation of this body of work, right? And we feel like we grow out of that tradition. We mentioned this before, that we're not, just echoing what was done by classic designers that came before us. We think it's something new, but we definitely relate to them. We feel a kinship with them. And we feel like that needs to be encouraged, not just by other craftspeople sort of honoring other craftspeople's work, but also by a consumer culture that sort of supports that.